guys, I'm Laura Vitale. On this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I want to share with you what I like to call my coconut chicken nuggets. Now, I have shared my coconut shrimp here with you a couple years ago, and this is basically kind of the same thing but with chicken, and I feel good that they're worth sharing because they are so good. And if you're having like a game night or something like that, they're perfect because you can make one big batch of them and they are pretty tasty at room temperature. So let me show you the ingredients you'll need, which are not very many, but they're all the right ones. You're going to start off with all-purpose flour. I've got baking powder, paprika, granulated garlic. I've got salt and pepper. I've got some sweetened shredded coconut and some panko breadcrumbs. They can be seasoned or not. They got to be some panko though. These are some chicken tenders that I just cut into bite-sized pieces. This is some seltzer water, mineral water. I've got an egg and additional flour. That is it. You can serve these with whatever your heart desires, but for now, we are just going to focus on making them. The first thing I'm going to work on is mixing together my coconut and my panko breadcrumbs. I just feel like the texture of the two together is exactly what I like. So I just like to mix them, you know, make sure there's no big clumps of coconut. That way they don't just sort of stick to one piece. You want them well distributed. Mix the dry ingredients. They don't have to be perfect because we are going to add everything else to it. Starting off with my egg, and I'm going to add the water. I'm going to add most of the water, about a cup full. This is what gives you a really light batter, therefore it doesn't feel really heavy coating the chicken, which is what I like. And you are just going to need to whisk until there are no major lumps. Okay, now make yourself an assembly line. And what I have here is a small baking sheet with some parchment paper because these need to go into the freezer for about a half an hour. So all you're gonna do, it's really simple. You kind of dredge each one in the flour. It kind of helps the batter stick. You dip it into the batter, you shake off the excess, and then you just dredge it in the coconut mixture. Don't overdo it because the coconut will burn if you put too much on there. So a small little light coating is all you need. You pop that on there like so, and you just continue to do the rest of them, and then you're gonna pop them into the freezer for 30 minutes, and then we will get going on frying them up. Once you have them all coated, don't worry if they don't look perfect because remember, you're going to fry them, so they're going to get really brown and crispy and delicious all around. But once you have them all done, it's important that they go in the freezer for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. You can even stretch it an hour, and I wouldn't do any longer than that because you don't want to actually freeze the chicken. What you're trying to do is kind of just freeze and set the coating so that when you put it in your hot oil, it doesn't burn immediately because the coconut is sweet, and before the inside would cook, the outside would burn. So I'm going to pop these into the freezer for a little bit, and then we'll get to frying them up. My chicken nuggets were in the freezer for about 45 minutes. I've got some vegetable oil in my large cast iron skillet. I have about, I would say, an inch or so of oil in there. And how I always know the right temperature is, I don't use a thermometer most of the time. I just take a wooden spoon, flip it upside down, stick it in the middle, and if you see bubbles sort of forming at the very base, the oil is hot enough. I have this preheated over medium heat because I don't want this preheated too much, otherwise it will burn way too quickly. I'm going to cook these in batches. I'm probably going to have to do about, I would say 3 or 4 batches because I want to make sure I don't overcrowd the pan and then the temperature of the oil drops and yada yada. You know the drill. I also have some paper towel lined on a baking sheet, so I'm going to just cook these until they're golden brown and cooked all the way through. Put them on here so they soak up any extra oil, and then just keep on going. These look fantastic. They cooked in batches for about 4 minutes each, and they are perfection. Now, I like to serve mine with sweet chili sauce because that's just how I like it, but you can serve these with whatever your heart desires, but really, they don't need anything else because they are just fabulous and crispy and beautiful. This is the first batch, so it's cooled. That's a good chicken nugget. I'm trying to show you. The chicken is still juicy, but the coating is really nice and crispy. Oh, phenomenal. If you make these a little bit ahead of time, what I would suggest is that you put them on a cooling rack and you stick them in the oven like around 375 for a few minutes just to crisp them up, and you've got delicious, delightful coconut chicken nuggets. Now, RNAKitchen.com will have you covered with a recipe. You'll love them. Make them, Hope you spend time with me. I'm gonna go eat, and I'll see you next time. Bye.